They told me to train the new hire because she'd be taking over my current role when I got promoted. For 8 months, I poured everything I knew into her. I stayed late, I documented every process, I even defended her mistakes to management. Then I walked into the conference room for my promotion announcement and watched them give my job to her instead. I'd been at Meridian Financial Solutions for 6 years. 6 years of arriving early, staying late, and never once calling in sick. I started as a junior analyst and worked my way up to senior client relations manager. I knew every account, every quirk of every client, every unwritten rule that kept the department running smoothly. My boss, Patricia Vance, had been dropping hints about a promotion for almost a year before she finally made it official. Well, as official as a closed-door conversation could be. It was a Tuesday afternoon in March when she called me into her corner office. Patricia was the kind of executive who wore power suits like armor and smiled like she was doing you a favor just by acknowledging your existence. "Rachel," she said, gesturing for me to close the door, "I think it's time we talked about your future here." My heart started racing. I'd been waiting for this moment for so long. As you know, David Chen is retiring at the end of the year. That means the Director of Client Relations position is opening up. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. "I've recommended you for the role." I couldn't breathe. Director. That was 2 levels above my current position. A $40,000 raise, an actual office with a door, a seat at the executive meetings I'd been excluded from for years. "There's just one thing," Patricia continued, leaning back in her leather chair. "The board wants to see leadership capabilities. They want proof that you can build and mentor a team. So here's what I'm proposing." She explained that they'd be hiring someone to eventually take over my current responsibilities. My job would be to train this person, document all my processes, and demonstrate that I could develop talent. If I did this successfully, the director position would be mine by December. "Think of it as your final test," Patricia said with that thin smile of hers. "Show us you can elevate others and you'll elevate yourself." I left her office floating on air. I called my mom. I called my best friend. I even started casually browsing furniture for my future office. The new hire arrived 3 weeks later. Her name was Kelsey Monroe, and she was 24 years old with a freshly minted MBA and absolutely zero real-world experience. She was also, I would later learn, Patricia's goddaughter. But I didn't know that then. All I knew was that this eager young woman was my ticket to the corner office. I threw myself into training her with everything I had. I created comprehensive training manuals. I invited her to every client meeting and let her shadow my calls. When she made mistakes, and there were many in those early months, I covered for her. I rewrote her reports at midnight. I smoothed things over with frustrated clients who received her confusing emails. "Kelsey's still learning," I'd tell anyone who complained. "Give her time. She's got potential." Months passed, spring turned to summer, and summer faded into fall. I kept checking in with Patricia about the promotion timeline. "Everything's on track," she'd assure me. "The board is very impressed with how you've handled the transition. Keep doing what you're doing." So I did. I worked harder than I'd ever worked in my life. I was essentially doing 2 jobs, my own and half of Kelsey's, while documenting everything for the handoff. I missed my nephew's birthday party. I canceled 3 weekend trips with my husband. I told myself it would all be worth it in December. October brought the first real warning sign, though I was too blind to see it. Patricia started inviting Kelsey to meetings I wasn't included in, executive lunches, strategy sessions. When I asked about it, Patricia waved me off. "Just exposing her to the broader business, nothing to worry about. You're still the one being considered for director." I believed her. Why wouldn't I? I'd given this company 6 years of my life. I'd never given them a reason to doubt me, and they'd never given me a reason to doubt them. November arrived, and so did the annual company retreat. It was held at a resort upstate, 3 days of team building and strategic planning. On the second night, there was a cocktail reception where they typically announced promotions and organizational changes. I bought a new dress for the occasion, navy blue, professional but elegant. I practiced my surprised face in the hotel mirror, even though I knew the announcement was coming. The reception was held in a ballroom with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a lake. I stood near the front, champagne in hand, waiting. Patricia took the stage with Marcus Webb beside her. She thanked everyone for their hard work. She talked about the company's growth and future vision. Then she said the words I'd been waiting 8 months to hear. And now I'm thrilled to announce our new Director of Client Relations. I set down my champagne glass and prepared to walk forward. Please join me in congratulating Kelsey Monroe. The room erupted in applause. I stood frozen, my feet rooted to the carpet, watching Kelsey walk past me towards the stage. She didn't even look at me. She just smiled that bright young smile and shook Patricia's hand like she'd earned this. Like I hadn't spent 8 months preparing her for my job. Like I hadn't been promised something that was never real.
Hold on, I need to stop right here because I'm still shaking thinking about this moment. Can you even imagine? 8 months. 8 months of training, sacrificing, believing every single lie they fed me. Subscribe if you've ever had someone steal something you worked for right in front of your face. Drop a comment and tell me, what would you have done standing in that ballroom? Because what I did next, I still don't know if it was genius or career suicide. Keep watching. I don't remember the rest of the reception. I know I didn't make a scene, though every cell in my body was screaming. I smiled, I clapped, I even congratulated Kelsey when she bounced over to me afterward, completely oblivious to what she'd just done. "Rachel, I couldn't have done this without you," she gushed. "Seriously, you're the best mentor ever." I wanted to throw my champagne in her face. Instead, I said something polite and excused myself to the bathroom, where I locked myself in a stall and cried until my mascara ran down to my chin. The next morning, I requested a meeting with Patricia. She seemed surprised to see me in her hotel suite doorway, but she let me in. "Rachel, I know you're disappointed," she started before I could even sit down. "Disappointed?" I kept my voice steady, though it took everything I had. "You promised me that position. You told me if I trained Kelsey, if I proved I could develop talent, the director role would be mine." Patricia sighed like I was being dramatic. "I said you were being considered. The board ultimately felt that Kelsey brought a fresh perspective. Her MBA thesis was on client retention strategies, and frankly, her ideas impressed the executive team." "Her ideas?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Half of those ideas were mine. I coached her on every single presentation she gave. "That's what good mentors do." Patricia's smile was ice. "You should be proud that you developed such strong talent. It reflects well on you." I stared at her, finally seeing the truth I'd been too desperate to notice. This was never about proving myself. This was about extracting every ounce of knowledge from my brain and transferring it to someone Patricia actually wanted in that role. I was never going to be director. I was just the training program. "Is Kelsey your goddaughter?" I asked quietly. Patricia's expression flickered, just for a second. "It doesn't seem relevant." "It's relevant because you used me. You dangled a promotion you never intended to give me, so I'd train your goddaughter for free. You made me do your dirty work." "Rachel, I think you're overreacting." I stood up. "I think I'm finally seeing clearly." I returned home from the retreat and spent the weekend strategizing with my husband. He wanted me to quit immediately. I wanted something else. I wanted justice, or at least an acknowledgement of what they'd done. Monday morning, I requested a meeting with HR. I brought documentation. 8 months of emails where Patricia explicitly linked my training of Kelsey to the director promotion. Calendar invites showing how I'd been excluded from meetings while Kelsey was included. Performance reviews where Patricia praised my leadership development skills as evidence of my readiness for the role. The HR director, a nervous man named Gerald, reviewed everything with a furrowed brow. "This is concerning," he admitted, "but technically no formal promotion was ever documented. Patricia's emails use phrases like being considered and on track. There's nothing legally binding here." "So she can just lie to employees to manipulate them into doing extra work?" Gerald shifted uncomfortably. "I understand your frustration. I'll speak with Patricia and see if we can find a resolution." The resolution came 3 days later. Patricia called me into her office and offered me a $5,000 bonus for my mentorship efforts and a new title, Lead Senior Client Relations Manager. Same job, same salary, a meaningless word added to my business cards. "This is insulting," I said. "This is generous, considering the circumstances. I'd take it if I were you. The job market isn't great for people your age, Rachel, and references matter." There it was, the fret wrapped in corporate politeness. I took the bonus, not because I accepted my fate, but because I needed time to plan. Over the next 6 weeks, I did something I should have done months ago. I started documenting everything Kelsey didn't know, every client relationship she was fumbling, every process she hadn't actually learned because I'd been doing the work for her, every account that was at risk because the new director didn't understand the nuances I'd spent 6 years mastering. Then I started interviewing, quietly, carefully, with companies who actually valued experience. I received an offer in January, Director of Client Services at a competing firm, $15,000 more than I would have made at Meridian, an actual team to lead, respect. I submitted my resignation on a Friday afternoon, effective immediately. I'd accumulated enough PTO to cover my notice period, and I used every single day. Patricia called me 17 times that weekend. I didn't answer. Monday morning, chaos erupted. The biggest client account, Harrison Manufacturing, called demanding to speak with me. They'd been working with Kelsey for weeks and were fed up with her mistakes. When they learned I'd resigned, they threatened to pull their $3 million contract. I know this because Gerald from HR called me, practically begging. "Rachel, please, just help us transition Harrison. We'll pay you consulting rates." "Gerald," I said sweetly, "I think Patricia made it very clear that Kelsey brought a fresh perspective. I'm sure she can handle it." She couldn't. Harrison Manufacturing left Meridian within 6 weeks. 2 other major clients followed when word spread that the experienced people were gone. I know because those clients came to my company, to me. Last I heard, Patricia was put on a performance improvement plan after the client exodus. Kelsey still has the director title, but rumor says she's drowning and considering going back to school. And me? I'm running a department of 12 people who actually listen to my ideas. I got the promotion I deserved, just not from the people who promised it to me. Sometimes the best revenge is building something better somewhere else and watching the people who betrayed you realize exactly what they lost. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If this story made you angry, made you think, or reminded you of your own terrible boss, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And hey, if you've got a workplace nightmare you've been dying to share, drop it in the comments or send it to us directly. Your story could be featured in an upcoming video. Until next time, know your worth, document everything, and never let anyone use your talent without giving you what you deserve.